Hi, this is Kim from the Michigan Conservative Roundtable. I have Mac on my right, I have TJ on my left, and I'm Kim. What I want to do is talk about the COVID-19 vaccinations that are going out this week, actually. Well, actually, I think they've already started out. As of today, and last night, they were being shipped out. In
the U.S. here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They were going out from Pfizer. I believe they started being shipped out last night, they said. Got some great concerns about it being shipped out. First people they're going out to are healthcare providers, is what they said last night. As a healthcare provider, I do have some concerns. They've got side effects. We know that for a fact right now. We do know that it is giving some of the people minor cases, essentially, of COVID, that it is a live vaccine. Mm-hmm. It is being escorted by the National Guard. You know, I was thinking, because people are saying, why is it being escorted by the National Guard? Well, essentially, it's going out as a live bomb. Yeah. Think about it.
Most vaccines, as I understand,
well, it's probably being treated as a biological weapon.
That's what I'm thinking.
No, that would be how we in the military would.
That's what I would think.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Kim. Is that most vaccines are killed vaccines?
Right. Okay. Nowadays,
like the flu shot is usually a killed vaccine.
Yeah. Nowadays.
Okay.
They were originally going out live,
which is why you would, if you got the shot, you would get the flu.
Right. Because what you do is you get a minor case of it as a live vaccine. Mm-hmm. Well, here's my thought. If we're giving all the healthcare workers across the country at the same time a live vaccine that they're going to get minor symptoms from, what's that going to do to our healthcare?
Well, I got to think they're going to spread it to a patient.
Well, not only that, but are we going to make all of our healthcare workers sick at the same time?
It would seem so.
So who's going to take care of the sick people? Who's going to take care of the sick people? Is that going to give them an option to bring in the government to take care of our hospitals, to make our hospitals government run?
Yeah, if the perfectly legitimate election stands with no other further court battles, if that perfect election stands, they're going to get rid of all of our personal health care. So you folks out there who thought, I'm sick and tired of hearing about Trump, I just want rid of him, enjoy your communism.
Right. So at the same time, we can knock out all of our personal health care.
Right.
By giving all of our healthcare workers at the same time a shot that is going to wipe out all of our nurses and doctors at the same time.
And we need to do this for a vaccine, for a virus that's got a recovery rate of 99.97.
Right. And here's my other question. How many of our healthcare workers have immunities already?
Right.
Why aren't we testing to see how many of us have immunities before we give them this shot? To me, that would be common sense.
Well, they tell me I need to everywhere I go, and I don't do it because I'm not going to submit to their tyranny. But they'll tell me I need to wear a mask so I don't spread a disease that I don't have.
Well, and here's the other thing. You know, like I said, why is it all at the same time? Why are nurses and doctors being first? Why are second being our seniors in our long-term care facilities?
We've got very nefarious people at work, I believe. Not to sound like a conspiracy tinfoil hat person, but...
And they're telling me they haven't, from everything I read, they're saying that it hasn't been tested a whole lot on elderly.
Well, what's the usual? 3 to 5 years of testing on anything?
Now
we got to do it right now because it's so deadly at 99.97 recovery.
Well, at the risk of being conspiratorial, I love to theorize, and I've said that in other videos. I gotta wonder if this isn't one of their reasons to institute some kind of national ID. And allow me to expand. At face value, you're opposed to national ID, mm-hmm. But if this virus is so devastating, and if this vaccine is so needed, and to the point that it's now demand, if the vaccine is deemed so needed that you must take it, if you how else to prove you've had it without some kind of national documentation? And of course, you're going to need to prove who you are. So now it's going to have your photo
Unless
on
you're
it.
voting,
Well, what I'm saying is
because that's racist.
I'm wondering if this is some kind of pathway to a national ID, because they're going to want to prove they're going to want you to be able to prove you've had it, and you're going to have to prove you are who you say you are to prove that you in fact have had it. And there I go on
And you
one of my
can't get
theories.
that card, which you'll need to shop,
Right.
to pay your bills, to buy a house, so on and so forth, unless you turned in your guns. You can't get that card then.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing. You know, the thing is that flu shots for nurses in some hospitals are mandatory.
Right.
Are they going to make this mandatory for all healthcare workers to take?
Well, as you know, my wife is a nurse, and I think she's been told that.
So
That will be
far,
mandatory for her.
we haven't been told that.
Don't quote me
Well,
on
that's
that.
what I'm saying. Going to what I said, I think they envision making it mandatory for everyone, and one of the mechanisms in that being mandatory is the whole ID thing.
And see,
So
the
was
thing
my
is that there is talk that there is sterilization
I've heard
involved
that.
in that.
Well, it's being pushed by a guy who wants to reduce the Earth's population by 90%.
So,
Bill Gates.
but they don't know how long the women will be sterilized for. There is talk that there's embryo parts. I don't know if that's true or not. There's talk that in the UK they saw Bell's palsy and they had anaphylactic shock with
They said if you have allergies, you're in trouble, which I
people
do.
with allergies. So do I.
You'll be in trouble.
So people with allergies shouldn't be taking it. So I've just got so many questions on it, and we're not getting the questions. Here's my other thing.
We're not getting the answers.
Yeah, we got lots of questions and no answers.
Right.
So here's the other thing. You know, every night now we're hearing the death numbers, we're hearing the tolls. I mean, how many cases we're seeing. But you know, we're not really being told how many of those cases are asymptomatic. How many of those cases are minor?
Well,
how many cases are actually hospitalized?
And what we're not hearing is how many more people have been tested. If everyone gets it, and I suspect everyone will at some point, we'll have 330 million cases. So at what point, we're going to lock down the country forever? Because we're going to as we continue to test, we're always going to have more cases. So this would never end.
So why are we not testing and getting better immunity testing
Right.
instead of just working on a vaccine?
And then you deny people the drugs that can save them.
Yeah.
Because you want them dead.
And some of the vaccines I'm hearing, first shot, 28 days a shot, and that the immunity supposedly only lasts 3 months. So there's like a
Well,
shots
then it doesn't.
every 3 months?
It seems to me that if it only lasts, then it isn't an immunity at all.
No, so it's not really a vaccine. It's more like an allergy shot.
Yeah.
So what the heck's going on here?
Well, this is a mechanism to control us and put us under their thumb.
And big money for big pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah. Right.
So I still, even as a nurse, have too many questions on these vaccines that are unanswered for me to feel comfortable taking this.
So again, you're going to be between a rock and a hard place. You're going to have to decide whether you want to go, whether you're going to be able to have money to buy groceries, unless you do what they say.
Or work in my profession, because that may be mandatory.
Well, yeah, or you may have to quit your job and say, it's not worth my life to be a medical professional.
Right. And is that what they're counting on? Are they counting on, because, I mean, talking to a bunch of nurses, we still all are questioning, because we're not getting answers even as nurses.
Yeah. Well, you don't need to know. The governor tells you. That's all you need to know.
You know, we as healthcare professionals deserve to have the answers for the injections, A, that we'll be giving, and B, the ones they expect us to take.
Right.
And we don't appreciate being used as guinea pigs for the first run.
I heard my wife and I went down to Ohio so we could have a sit-down dinner in a nice restaurant, and I heard a lab technician was sitting at a table not very far from us, and I heard her saying, "I don't appreciate being a guinea pig for this thing."
That's the way all of us healthcare professionals,
That was exactly her
most
words.
of us feel.
Yeah.
You know, because the thing is the cases we are seeing out there right now are, on the whole, pretty minor.
Yeah.
I mean, several of the cases that I've seen and heard about are people losing sense of smell and taste with minor cold type symptoms.
Yeah.
So,
there's other
or
people
asymptomatic. And there are severe. Do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
There are people with comorbidities that are having severe cases.
I recently know someone who passed away from the effects of COVID. They got pneumonia and they passed. But
and there are severe cases.
And the person was 74 or 75 years old, and that's unfortunate. But you're in the very vulnerable range.
Yeah,
and
there are severe cases. So, but there are the minor, and give us the whole truth instead of just the little section that we're getting every day from our government.
Yeah. I got a question. You being a nurse, what would your response to me as a person be if I told you I'd just soon take my chances with the survivability rate and get my immunization that way?
It's up to. I feel it's up to you. It should be a personal opinion. It should be a personal choice.
Leading to a follow-up question: is that reckless, or what?
We do it with the flu every year.
Yeah.
I know. Well, what I'm saying is, and
I
don't get flu shots every year. I aside from me having a thing for needles, I can't tell you the last time I've had a flu shot.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, as long as you know the dangers and you're. As a nurse, what I do is I tell the people the dangers, the pros and cons, and the person has a personal choice. Don't feel that it's up to me as a healthcare professional to force something onto someone.
No.
Well, and I don't. You know what? And I agree with that because you don't. People just don't like being told you must do this.
Where is the the liberals say my body, my choice?
Yeah.
Okay,
and that's
where is my body, my choice in this?
That's only for, as we talked about in another video, that's only for some people.
Well, that's kind of where I'm at on this, and I'm glad you phrased it that way because that's kind of how I am.
Well, see, here's the thing. The argument will be, and I'm going to play the devil's advocate.
I want you to.
That it's not just about you. You're out there spreading this.
No, well, then let them get the vaccine.
If you have a vaccine, then it's not a...
Well, see, now you're asking too many questions, you troublemaker.
You're safe if you get the vaccine, right. So you're not...
Like I said earlier, how is it I'm spreading a disease I don't have?
Right. Well, but
I don't have syphilis.
I have a devil's advocate response to that. You never know when you come in contact with it. You're fine today, but tomorrow you may cross paths with someone who crossed paths with it at when they're visiting their elderly parent. You know, you never know any given day.
Well, hasn't Grandma lived long enough? They said.
Well, yeah. Any given day you could cross paths with it, and that's part of the reason why. For instance, just this past week, my wife Shelley he and I like to joke. My wife had a doctor's appointment and 72 hours prior, she had to get swabbed. And now, every time she has a doctor's appointment for this particular physician, she has to be swabbed. But the thing of it is, she got swabbed on Tuesday. How is it's not possible that on Wednesday or Thursday or even Friday morning, she didn't come in contact with it somewhere, somehow?
Well, that's why everyone needs the vaccine.
Well, not only that.
That's the argument. You just made their argument.
Not only that, but we are actually seeing false positives in the field. So
53% of the tests are.
So
I'm sorry, 47% of the tests are.
How good?
Inaccurate.
How good are the swabbing even? So, and how good are the numbers we're seeing when we're seeing false positives?
Right.
I've seen people who tested positive. And 4 hours later went to the hospital, and the hospital tested them negative. So how good is the testing?
Me personally...
How good is the immunity testing? It's not accurate.
Me personally, and I'm only going to speak for myself, I'm not in a rush for this vaccine.
I'm not either.
All right? And if I'm deemed reckless for that position, then so be it.
Right.
You know what? I look at the odds and make my decision based on the odds.
But we need to keep everyone safe.
You know what? Then don't drive your car.
Well, we did a video on that. All the things you need to do to be safe. Life is meant to be lived, not to be safe. And there is nothing safe about living.
Just this past week, I was talking to a guy at work, and but what about all the people that are dying? I said, well, then don't drive your car if that's the determining factor. Right. And he stood there frozen, like, what do I say in response to that?
Life is
You
not
know?
meant to live in fear either, and
No,
that is
and I'm not
what our
doing it.
government is doing, is making people live in fear.
Well, Franklin Roosevelt did say there's nothing to fear but fear itself. So
Exactly. So, anything else?
no, I think we hashed that one out. This could be a long video. So
Okay, I want to thank you all. I want to tell you,
As always, be safe.
watch your six.
and don't tread
tread
on
on
me.
me.